Emerging market troubles and their spillover effects. The prognosis for emerging markets does not look promising as central banks begin to impose restrictive monetary policies. Emerging nations' borrowing conditions are anticipated to worsen at a time when they are burdened with record levels of debt and have deteriorating public budgets. China's property and credit-led economic model, for example, could unravel, causing a slowdown in its demand for international commodities. This would significantly impact global commodity prices, which are crucial to many emerging market economies. Furthermore, developing market public finances do not appear to be in a strong enough position to weather rising international interest rates, falling commodity prices, or a new downturn in the global economy. Emerging market economies' budget deficits have grown to 6.5% of GDP in the last 18 months, according to the International Monetary Fund, IMF. In the meantime, its public debt to GDP ratio climbed by 10 percentage points to a new high of 64%. A major challenge for emerging market economies this year will be coping with a significantly less hospitable international liquidity environment than last year. The U.S. Federal Reserve Bank has signaled that it will begin raising interest rates in March, with inflation at a 40-year high and unemployment back to pre-pandemic lows. The European Central Bank, ECB, is following closely behind. As a result, developing markets face the risk of capital repatriation, that is, the return of capital from abroad to the country of its origin. This would be especially true if the tightening cycle collapsed today's global asset price and credit market bubbles. Emerging markets would likely be especially hard hit in a world where investors are reducing their risk exposure, including exposure to emerging markets. A further slowdown in Chinese economic development is another key concern for developing market countries this year. Given the severe troubles in China's property industry, which accounts for about 30% of the country's economy, this risk now appears to be quite real. Because of these issues, emerging and other markets may no longer be able to rely on China as the world's primary economic development engine. This is especially terrible news for emerging markets, as China is the world's largest consumer of international commodities, and this demand may falter. U.S. policymakers disregard the emerging market economies' bleak economic outlook at their own peril. Not only do those economies now account for almost half of the global economy, but they also offer significant dangers to the U.S. and global financial systems, which have acquired historic levels of emerging market debt. Accordingly, problems in emerging markets may have spillover effects and detrimentally affect the U.S. and global economies. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, it helps others find our content. And please visit econobits.com for a list of resources and references.